So I stand by the case that gold and silver will bounce back further for all the same fundamental reasons. I could go to the whole debt situation, the currency debasement that goes on. I mean, it's just incredible. It's not getting any better when I see what's going to happen in the U.S.
What if the biggest investment opportunity of this decade isn't artificial intelligence, but gold and silver? While most investors are chasing AI stocks, legendary precious metals investor Eric Sprott believes the real story is unfolding beneath the surface. He warns that rising debt, weakening economic fundamentals, and massive demand for physical metals could trigger a major shift in global markets. We'll break down Eric Sprott's biggest predictions, why he believes silver is dramatically undervalued, and what could happen next to gold, the stock market, and the global economy.
So I stand by the case that gold and silver will bounce back further for all the same fundamental reasons. I could go to the whole debt situation, the currency debasement that goes on. I mean, it's just incredible. It's not getting any better when I see what's going to happen to the U.S. coming out of this Iran war with the $300 million claim and the return of this billion and the return of the $100 billion and all the costs of the war, which was fruitless. I mean, the whole thing was, in my mind, fruitless, accomplished nothing. In fact, it was bad. It was bad from a USA perspective. And unfortunately, from a USA perspective, they just keep losing allies more and more and more. And when you lose an ally, he doesn't want to own your currency, okay? So I think we'll be right back to that. Dollar weakness, gold strength, silver strength. The fundamentals will support the silver story. And there's hardly a day goes by when you don't read something going on in the electronics kind of business that isn't so powerfully great for silver, whether it's the solid state engines, the AI plants are putting up, and it just goes on and on and on. And I think we underestimate what really could happen. And one of the things I do fall back on is the knowledge that when silver and gold were currencies, silver traded a 15-to-1 ratio to gold. When gold was at 4,500, silver should have been 300, but it's been suppressed for all these 50 odd years by banks who've been short the whole time. I mean, it's shocking to think that we had that. As you know, I don't have a love on for banks. And I maybe I could get mad at myself for playing in a game where it's manipulated.
Right.
You probably feel a little bit stupid because of it, right? And even this time I'm thinking, no, there's no way they can knock it down that far. That's impossible. The impossible happened in 30 hours. 30, and your best returns are when something's gone down and hit bottom and everyone realizes we did the wrong thing. And I want to talk about everyone maybe sometime realizing we all did the wrong thing, because one of the things that has hindered the stock market, the precious metal market, is the stock market.
Yeah.
Because it's been a wonderful place for people, particularly speculators, leveraged speculators, to make outsized returns very, very, very quickly, particularly if they were focusing on certain things. But when you look at the economy and the status of the United States government, the fiscal situation, the weakness in home sales, the weakness in commercial real estate, the weakness in private credit. You can't even get your money out of a private credit.
Right.
Private equity fund. You can't get your money out. I mean, they've starting to seal the doors here. That's how bad it is. So, and the whole bond market has been no panacea for everybody. So the only thing that was working is the stock market. And it was a very focused group of stocks that were working. For the most, first of all, it was the Mag 7. Then we moved into AI. And recently, like last week, there's a number of companies announced that, you know what? We got a problem with our AI budgets here. We're letting all our staff use AI, but the cost of using it is very, very high. And companies like, I got some names here, Walmart, Amazon, Meta, Uber, Cisco, and I think Google as well, have said, we can't keep spending money on AI like this. Because when all our employees use it, and, somebody asked some huge computer complex, what's the favorite name of a cat in New Jersey, and then they fire up all this equipment, to get imagine the cost of firing up the equipment
Right.
to get the answer. And everyone's using this thing all the time. And even the guy had Chat GPT, I swear this was about 6 or 9 months ago. He said, the insane thing is the more people use our service, the more money we lose.
That's not supposed to work that way.
No, it's not supposed to work that way. And everyone assumes it will change, but I'm not so convinced with this early on. These big companies say, hold on here. We got to cut back on this. This is not working for us. And we don't even know if the pricing of the product is even where it should be to support the CapEx and the cost of production.
Right.
Or did they sort of lowball it going in and they still lose money?
Right.
So if this AI starts falling apart, I mean, there's nothing left in the market looks healthy, but it sounds the same, of course.
Yeah.
And look, I was there in 2000. I could see the NASDAQ bubble. And that's when I started my hedge fund so I could go short the market and long precious metal stocks. I was there in 07, 08, 09. You could see it, right before your eyes what the hell the problem was with all the leverage in the housing market. And sure enough, yes, we had to put up with exactly what we're putting up with now before the metals finally went. So if the market rolls over here because we've had it wrong all along, which we might very well have, I suspect we have, with so many areas of weakness already.
Yeah.
Housing, commercial real estate, private equity, private bonds. It's just endless, all the things that are having trouble. And luckily, one sector kept us up there. Now, this sector is really questionable right now. I wouldn't have said it as forcefully had I not read about these companies that are cutting back. Uber, for example, they said they spent their 2026 AI budget in 4 months. They spent all that they budgeted for AI in 4 months. I'm just going to say, I think the problem it has is the whole keeping the economy going is not something that some central banker can just sit there and make happen. As you know, they do it wrong all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he might be saying, well, I'm going to raise rates. But meanwhile, now that the stock market's finally giving it up a little, we could see yields coming down here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the housing, look at the new home sales that were down whatever percent today. People are buying way fewer houses than they used to. I think we're down to like 583,000 new homes. And if my memory serves me, it used to be like 850 annualized rate. That's a big difference, right. 850 to 580 or something. So he's got problems in front of him. And of course, he's got this whole deficit thing that we're not resolving, and we're making this. So I think that people should be very calm here. If I was to advise anybody of anything, is stay out of AI levered. I mean, that's the last thing. When I read about the fact that so many people have these 1-day option trades, 1 day.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right.
You make a fortune. You're wrong. You lose everything. Right. And then there's probably been a lot of money lost here recently with AI weakening and Mag 7 underperforming. So I think there's still going to be a great opportunity to play gold and silver. It's going to be close. Well, they just have to keep printing money. Okay. And they do.
Right.
And they say they've got, they're selling bonds and they sell some bonds, but they're also buying them all the time. And you find out later that they were buying and playing in the market. In fact, would I be surprised to find out that the government might have put a lid on the price of oil?
Right.
With this whole Hormuz thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, selling the SPR, who's to say they weren't in the derivatives on the COMEX?
Yep.
I would not be at all surprised if that was the fact. So anyway, we have our part of the world, particularly the developed part of the world, is not doing well. And the people who buy gold and silver, they're not on our team anyway, those guys. The guys that buy it are China, India, Asia, and they're not. We saw gold imports into China. I think there were 164 tons in May. 164. That's 2,000 tons annualized. We only have 4,000 tons. We mine 3, and I think we have a total of 4,000, including recycling. Well, there's the half of it gone if China keeps that up. Okay, and I can take up probably another 400 or 500 that China produces themselves that they don't export. And then throw in the Indian demand. My God, I don't know there's going to be shortages of these products. Well, there's never a shortage of gold because there's all the gold in the world still with us, right? But we don't have all the silver. We might only have 2% of the silver we've ever mined because most of it's in such small little places that you can't recover it. So I think that you wait till we're going to open up on Monday. What are the Chinese going to do? You know, they're bringing back these bank accounts where people can buy gold in the bank and get their money back traded into gold. That starts on July 1st. We've had some negative changes in India, and I think those could easily be reversed here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a time when the Indians were buying so much silver that they had to stop from buying them in the ETFs, and same thing in China. Well, maybe they'll say, okay, fine, ETFs, start buying it again. Let's bring that 2.5 billion people back on into the game and have them buying things. That'll change things fast. So I'm hopeful. And by the way, as you well know, it's quarter end.
Right.
And quarter end is when banks to dress things up a little. Okay. I've seen it so often. It drives me crazy. Hopefully we can get through this quarter and it'll be clear sailing after that.
If you enjoyed this analysis, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest updates on gold, silver, global markets, and the economy. Do you agree with Eric Sprott's outlook, or do you see the markets differently? Thanks for watching,